Hi there folks, I'm going to cover some rockabilly soloing concepts here. I composed this solo. It's basically 4 different pieces put together, and we're going to go through the different pieces and look at how those can be universally used and used in different ways and used in improvisational ways. So the first thing to talk about is just basic concepts here when playing rockabilly. If you're familiar with like playing blues and stuff like that, then you probably know like the blues scale, the pentatonic scale, stuff like that. That stuff's great, but it doesn't help you a ton when you're playing rockabilly, because in rockabilly, sort of like in bluegrass and jazz, you got to follow the chord changes. If you're not following the chord changes pretty closely, it sounds like hot garbage. So it's where, you know, like in a regular 12-bar blues, you can kind of get away with just just kind of sort of wanking through the scale, I guess. And rockabilly, you can't really do that. In rockabilly, not only do you have to be targeting the chord tones, but you always have to know what chord you're playing over. And it helps also if you know the relation of that chord to the scale. For instance, if it's a 1 chord, a 4 chord, or a 5 chord, or whatever. In the intro solo I did, I was just playing an A, D, E, a 1, 4, 5, real basic. I was imagining that in my head as I was playing the solo. So if we break that down to an even more basic level, basically what we have is 2 bars of A, 2 bars of D, 2 bars of E or E7, 2 bars of A. Then it repeats from the beginning. 2 bars of A, 2 bars of D, 2 bars of E or E7. So that's the basic pattern we're playing over. So as I'm soloing over that, I'm thinking A, D, E, back to A. So that's important. That's something you want to keep in mind. So even if you are kind of tinkering around with these scales or whatever, like the blues scale, pentatonic scale, which you can in rockabilly music, you still gotta land on the chord tones in the right spots. So for instance, I'm just gonna do an improv. This might suck, so bear with me here. So I'm gonna play over the same chord progression, A, D, and E, and I'm gonna try to kind of use the pentatonic and the blues scale. Kind of what I'm doing there is to make that sort of follow the sound of the changes, is I'm targeting chord tones in the appropriate places. And the best way you can learn to do that is A, experimenting, and B, transcribing tunes and seeing how other players do that, and building up the vocabulary. So it's kind of what we're going to do today a little bit. We're going to build up that vocabulary to kind of show you how some of this could be strung together. So, like I said earlier, this solo I've kind of composed 4 lick ideas, or 4 basic rough ideas, and I'm kind of improvising based off of those ideas. So the first idea starts off down here. I call this the brown-eyed girl lick. And That's not the same as the original Brown Eyed Girl, which actually was, but it's that same idea but inverted, and we're doing it in A here. So that starts out with the A and C sharp note, which is the root and the third of the A chord. Okay, and then it goes to this, which you might recognize as like a E7 type of shape, but in this context, what that is that's the 9 and the 11 of the A scale. Okay, so we've got the root and the third, and then we're going to the 9 and the 11, which is the B and D note, and then we're going to move that chromatically up here, and you'll notice that this is the C sharp and E, which is the third and the fifth of A. So see how we're kind of targeting those chord tones there? Root and third, 9 and 11, chromatic motion to the third and the fifth. So there's a lot of chord tones in that little melodic idea. Okay, so I think I did something like that to open. Okay, and then I just did the same thing, but in D. So we take it, the whole thing, we move it up from A to D. So now we're at 7th position, doing the same thing. Okay, and then the chord progression would be on E, or E7, E9, whatever, some kind of E dominant. And this time, instead of just going up here, could have done that. It's a little sloppy. Instead of doing that, what I did was I started up here, and so this time we're starting on the third and the fifth of E, which is going to be the G sharp and the B note, the 13 and the 12 on the third and second string. Move that down a whole step. Okay, and then we're going to move chromatically this double stop at the 9th fret. Same two strings we've been on, the B and G string. Okay, now that last part there where I'm playing that D and F sharp note, you'll notice that those are two notes of this E9 chord. Okay, so that's why that works there. When we land there, we're basically just outlining this E9 chord, okay? Okay, so we've got okay, and then we're going to do that A thing that we did at the beginning, but this time we're just going to go backwards. So instead of ascending, we're going to descend. And that lands us back on that A, the tonic chord, at just the right time. So let's look at this sort of Brown Eyed Girl concept from beginning to end. So we have A, then we're at D, E, descending to the E9, and then A descending. Okay, so that's the first idea. So the second idea, what we're doing is I've taken some chord inversions, and we're going to go through those, and I did something like. Okay, so let's take a look at what we have there. Again, we're just outlining that 1, 4, and 5, A, D, and E. So the first one, this isn't sort of an Albert Lee type of lick, by the way, but other people have done it too, probably even before him. So what we got here is we have an inverted A7. It's actually in third inversion, which means we have the seventh, the dominant seventh, as the root. Okay, so that's the G note on the D string, so 5th fret on the 4th string, and then we're playing that same A dyad on the G and B strings that we started this whole thing off with. So that's the first shape, that's an A7 shape. Okay, before we look at the meat and potatoes of the lick, let's go to the next chord and look at just the shape itself. So what this is a first inversion, which means the third is in the bass. First inversion means third in the bass. So this is a first inversion D7. So we have F sharp, A, C, 4, 2, 1 on the D, G, and second string. Okay, so that's D7. So guess what? We're going to move that up 2 frets, and that gives us our E7. So we have A7, then we have D7, then we have E7. Okay, and then we're going to move into this more familiar shape, which is based off of, that chord. Most of you probably know that. So that's just, we're staying on the same 3 strings. Okay, now we're going to the next set of chords, the next set of 3 chords. So we're going to start out, this one kind of flips this last thing on its head. We're going to start out on a first inversion, A7, so that's an A7 with the third in the bass, which is the same exact shape, by the way, of this D and E7. We're just moving that up, taking that to an A position. Okay, and then we're going to go to this D7, third inversion D7, so that's going to be the C note on the 4th string, 10th fret. Then we have D and F sharp on the next 2 consecutive strings going toward the floor there. So we have 10, 7, 7. So that's C, D, and F sharp. That's our 7th, root, and 3rd of the D7 chord. Okay, and then you probably guessed this. We're going to move that up 2 frets. That's going to give us our E7. So our 3 chords up here are this. Okay, and then we're going to resolve to another familiar place. This is kind of like a C chord, just turned into a bar position and moved up. But we don't need to play the whole thing. I'm just going to target the 11th, 9th, and 10th fret. So that's going to be our C sharp, E, and A. And I'm doing something like that, I think, in the opening. So all we're doing there is sliding from a half step below into the C sharp, and the 5th, and then I add this F sharp. Gives you a classic rockabilly type of lick. You've probably seen that in this position a million times. Okay, so let's take a look at that lick. Okay, so slowly we have pick that with the pick, pull off, repeat, and then do that double double stop twice. Now you can do this different ways. I do a lot of chicken picking, so I'm using my middle and ring finger. And then after you do those two double stops, you go back to this 4-string, and then do this pull off again, and then the 4-string again. That's the pattern. We just do that on all the shapes. In fact, I do it a little bit differently pretty much each time I play it. So you can experiment around with that. You know, maybe you'll just want to roll through those chords. All right, so that's the first two ideas. The third idea, this one's really simple. I just took the boogie woogie and moved it up an octave. All right. Yeah, that's what it was. That's what it was. Having a hard time remembering that now. So anyway, we've got we're starting in this sort of A shape. So let's go through that solo. We have A, C to C sharp, so that's minor to major third. Very common move in rockabilly. E at the 5th fret, F sharp, G, F sharp, E, minor to major third. Let's take a quick look at what our intervals are here, because I think this is important. This is like a little box that you can use. It's like a key that you can use to unlock some rockabilly magic. So we have our root, minor to major third, as I said. Then we have the 5th. Okay, and then this note, the 7th fret, is an important note. This is our 6th scale tone. You could also call that a 13. And then we have our 7th, our dominant 7th, so our flat 7. Those are all important notes. Okay, and then we're going to do those exact same intervals, but we're going to move it down into a D position. So we have D, E, F, F sharp, A, B, A, and then C, B, A, and then take that exact same fingering and move it up 2 frets. And then I ended with this, which is just based off of the A chord up here and down here. So that's C sharp, C, C sharp, C, C sharp, and then E, D sharp, E, D sharp, E, A. Okay, so let's look at this whole thing together. Okay, so that's the third idea. Now, the fourth idea is just kind of a takeoff from Johnny B. Good, rather. It's a double stop idea based off of this A chord shape. So we have, so slowly that's the E and A note on the 1st and 2nd string, bar to the 5th fret, and then we're going to bar on the next 2 strings, the G and B string, the 7th fret. And then we're going to bar on those same 2 strings, 2nd and 3rd string at the 5th fret, and hammer into an A chord type of shape. Okay, and then we're going to move up to D, so 10th fret. We're going to move up to E. So there I'm going, and then can't remember what I did in the opening solo, but it was probably something like this. Little swing sounding lick. So that's just minor to major 3rd on E, so 12 to 13. And then we've got the 5th and 6th of E, so that's the B and C sharp note, and then we've got the B and E note. So let's look at that slow. Okay, and then we could end that a million different ways. Let's just do the simple, most obvious way. So we've got, okay, so that's that brown-eyed girl type of concept again, except this time we're in a higher octave and we're descending. So that's our C sharp and E. Move down chromatically again. Okay, and then we're on the A and C sharp. And then you can slide back into that shape from a fret below. Okay, and then the ending is, I can't remember what octave I did it in, but it's a tag lick that you can do in different places. And this is a lick everybody that plays rockabilly should know. It's, and you can do that. So let's just look at one of the possibilities here. So high A, G at the 15th fret, F sharp, F, E. And then it ends on E, F sharp, G sharp, A. I like to do that in a lower octave because I think it sounds better to end in a lower octave than a higher octave. Especially if you're playing solo like right now. You can do a little slide from the E. And a 7th chord or 13 chord or something like that. Little vibrato sounds nice. So I'm going to play through these ideas as I remember them right now. try to experiment around with that. Let me try to play it in a different way, just kind of doing some minor variations of these ideas. So. So it was okay in spots, kind of sucked in spots, but that's just taking these basic ideas and trying to sort of walk around in different areas with some minor variations. And that's how you can sort of start to learn to improvise, by taking licks and melodic ideas and learning to string them together. But eventually you want to go beyond even that. But that's really where it starts. And the important part, I think, of playing rockabilly, like I alluded to earlier, is you really got to focus on finding the chord tones. Now you know that can be tricky, because you can't just play the chord tones by themselves. That sounds as lame as just playing the scales. There are some kind of cool devices you can use. Like one thing I like to do is go backwards one chord tone, a semitone. So like, for instance, if I'm playing over A, something like that. So it's just going back 1/2 step from the chord tone. Listen to what happens if I keep the same progression and I just kind of do that simple pattern with the chord tones. And you can do that obviously in different places. So I probably wouldn't do anything that sort of obvious in an actual solo, but that's just to kind of demonstrate the idea. So, you could even practice that with, in different positions. Like, for instance, we're gonna stay with this ADE vamp. Maybe practice like a concept like that in different areas. Oops. So anyway, there's some soloing concepts and ideas and licks for you to use to get started on rockabilly. This is my second in my rockabilly series, and we'll see where this series goes next. I want to apologize for the horrible lighting. I just have what I have to work with here, and it ain't much. So sorry about the glare on the guitar and all that jazz. But anyway, thanks for watching. Share this if you like it. Subscribe, comment, etc., etc. I will say I don't get around to reading the comments much, so if you leave a comment, it might take me a long while to see it, because I really don't look at them too often, because I've been pretty busy lately. So don't be offended, but I will see it eventually and respond. And anyway, best of luck to y'all out there. If you have any questions or anything, shoot me a message. I'm Harvey. I'll talk to you later. Bye.